Greetings, seekers after enlightenment. Yes, it's the Irish fella. I'm on my way up to my place of power, and things are sort of in a transition state now. Almost everything is packed, so I don't have easy access to a lot of my previously written materials, so I can't really work on a fresh script right now. But I thought I would jump out here for a moment just to gab at you about the current situation. Now, those of us who have been around the block will know that it is always in the government's interest to minimize the state of any crisis, because they want to look like they're in complete and total control right until the bus goes off the cliff. Now, I'm not saying there shouldn't be a reaction. You know, from the early reports, this Wuhan flu sounded like a nasty, ragged little motherfucker. But I think it's all overblown and has turned into a manufactured crisis. You can already see how the Democrats, who were advocating for open borders and limitless immigration not a month ago, now they're mad at Trump because he is not acting dictatorial enough to handle the crisis the way they think it should be handled. Or you Democrats need to fuck off and go away. Now, I've been talking to people. I've been talking to cops. I've been talking to people in stores. And they see the public all the time. They do not see any signs of panic. It is the unprepared who are in panic mode. If you're a red pill man, I know you're already prepared. And I'm not trying to brag, but I thought about it. I really have not changed my shopping habits in the last few months. I'm not sitting in my man cave on a mountain of toilet paper with a loaded shotgun. Now, I don't need to discuss numbers, and that's one thing you got to remember. If you are fortunate enough to be in a stable situation and you don't have to be out there in that bullshit, then don't. But don't be flaunting everything you have, because some fool will come double tap you or crack you on the head and take it. I'm definitely not trying to be a fearmonger, but a little thought in the back of my mind said we could be living out the slow motion version of Stephen King's The Stand. But possible. But as I said before, there's no need for panic. There is no need for fear. It's like the man said, do not be afraid to be alone. Eagles fly alone, pigeons flock together. There are so many things going on in the background that we don't even see. I'm not watching network news, I'm peeking when the TV's on. If there's a briefing, just to pick up a little tidbit here or there. But I don't have the news in my ear all the time. I don't need to. Now, if you're old school like me, you're a child of the Cold War. For many years, we were no more than 30 minutes from being radioactive glass. In a big city, that was a guarantee. But it did not stop us from living our lives. And I am not going to let a virus stop me from living my life. Now, I may be talking shit, and this virus may come and kick my ass and kill me, but so what? It's not going to affect my spirit. It's not affecting me now, as far as I know. But don't let a manufactured crisis take you off your path. All of us who have been silently preparing and gathering material, we're the ones with a smile on our faces when we're not pointing and laughing at the sheeple in Winco trampling each other for a roll of toilet paper. We're the ones that are relaxing with a bourbon and branch on the front porch because your shotgun is already loaded and you got plenty of shells in your pocket. Your Glock is on your hip and you got spare magazines on you. And you will double tap any raggedy motherfucker that tries to fuck with you and take your shit. Now, I'm not advocating armed gangs roaming around checking people out to see if they're hoarding or whatever. I say stay on the down low. Protect what is yours. Protect the people that you love and care for. Protect your property. Protect your life. Now, just because we're a couple of steps ahead of most of the crowd, we don't need to be out there showing our ass. We need to do just what we're doing, keeping it on the down low, helping out other men who need help, and making sure that we share information with each other so we are prepared for whatever comes. Now, I'm not going to lie and say I'm prepared for everything. If they declare martial law, that a lot of people are pretty much screwed. You know, here I am with a truck full of stuff. It could be my last trip going up the hill to get out of town. And suddenly I'm arrested as a looter because I got a truck full of stuff. They won't want to listen to no explanations. Now, I was not there, but when I was deployed, I had liberty in the Philippines. And those of you who have been to Subic Bay and Olongapo know exactly what time it is. Now, I'm going to drop a line. Most of you probably won't know where it comes from, but there may be a few. This is a shout out to you. Bear with us, and you know that. Yeah, buddy. So, people were telling me that when martial law was in effect, there was a curfew, midnight to 6 a.m. And it didn't matter who the fuck you were. It didn't matter if you were packing a dick the size of John Holmes. If you were on the street after midnight, you were getting double tapped, period. So, don't think it won't happen here. You look at the states where the Democrat governors are banning sale of guns and ammunition. just when things are getting unstable and people need protection. Well, all the criminals that already have guns, it's open season for them. They're just going to run buck wild and double tap whoever they want. And you, a citizen, you try to defend yourself. Now you're unable to because of assholes who have armed security. But somehow you don't have the right to defend yourself. Fuck you. Fuck off and go away. And this little manufactured crisis is a wake-up call. Now, just as John on the Prepared Mind channel says, there's going to be financial upheaval coming. He described the perfect hyperinflation scenario. A scenario in which cash will be almost completely worthless. Germany in the 1920s, Zimbabwe in the 1990s or whenever that was, or America in a few weeks. It could be right here. So if you have a source where you can get tangible goods, now you don't have to be really picky, and you can't with half the shelves bare, but think ahead. You have a pretty good idea of what's in your pantry, what's in your gun safe. Now remember, things like cheap alcohol and cigarettes will be prime barter items. Now, alcohol will be a barter item, but it will be in a state of flux, because we know there are many people that can hook up the moonshine, so that won't be such a big deal. But in the short term, even if you whip out a bottle of bottom shelf Old Crow, you'll get somebody's attention right now. And there are other things. Minor first aid supplies. When the power goes out and those bottles of hand sanitizer aren't available anymore, and now you don't even have hot water to wash your hands. Things like minor cuts and scrapes can turn deadly. You can stock up on minor first aid supplies, regular band-aids, gauze, tape, neosporin, rubbing alcohol, and especially peroxide. Things like multivitamins. Canned goods that have a long shelf life. And in the short term, if you have the capacity, things like gasoline. Now remember, gasoline itself has a short shelf life. It only has a shelf life of a matter of months at most. You have to put in something like Stay-Bill to ensure that it's viable long-term, to be able to last like a year or so. Or if you have the capability, use waste oil to make your own diesel. Now, I know it's a fairly simple process. It involves waste, kitchen grease, old school lye, and a couple of other items. And all it takes is mixing them in the right proportions I believe you have to have it in the right temperature range and letting it sit for a few hours. And your byproducts are diesel and glycerin, which is an ingredient in soap. So brothers, I'm almost there. So I've calmed down a little from my ranting, and I will let you brothers go and let you get on with your day. I remember the Chinese quote that says, "May you live in interesting times." And yes, that is exactly what is happening. But now remember, we cannot be prepared for everything. But there is no excuse to maximize what you have available. Your information, which includes sources of people with knowledge that is necessary in a shit hits the fan scenario. Tools and parts. And work procedures. Gathering in those three broad areas, you can be as prepared as possible for what is coming in the future. I have zero fear. I am going to live my life. In fact, I'm going to enjoy myself immensely. And no government bureaucrat is going to tell me otherwise. And if it comes to that point, well, let's just say they'll be wading through a pile of brass to get to my body, and they better bring some kitchen mitts, because all the barrels of the weapons around me will be hot. I refuse to submit, and you should not either. I am a Renaissance man. I will survive. I will thrive, and I will prosper. And you red pill men will do the same thing. Yes, these are hard times, but hard times create strong men. We are strong men, and we are gaining strength. Do not worry about what's coming on the horizon, because you have red pill wisdom to keep you safe. Peace out.